Bring on and we'll get started. Welcome everyone. So once again, we are very heavy on the viewing only side. So if anybody is viewing and you want to come over to the live version, just click on the link that you did not click on in Facebook, because that's the link where you can actually participate in the conversation, and it's always fun to be in the live version because that's where you'll get your questions answered right away.
That'll be the one, the main post, the link in the main post.
Yeah, definitely. So the link in the main post is the one that will give you access to the live version, and that's always the best place to be because you get your questions answered right away, and it's a valuable experience for all of us. But for those of you that are viewing, because the number keeps on going up, there's a ton of people, please type in any questions throughout the experience, and then when we're in the Q&A part, we will make sure that we answer your questions. We do have a moderator that's passing those questions to us, so just type the questions as they show up so that we know that they're there, and if for any reason we can't get to all the questions just because of time, we will follow up with you individually through email. So let's get started. So some exciting weekly updates. So for those of you who have yet to really just get yourself involved with the SynFire Challenge, make sure you do it. We still have another few weeks in this month. It's a fun challenge. The power's in the pack, so everyone benefits because of the SynFire Challenge. You guys benefit because you will make $250 for each chiropractor who joins, plus you'll get entered in to win a GoPro camera. The profession benefits because more chiropractors are marketing fearlessly and collaborating regularly. In addition, the tribe benefits. I mean, the power is in the pack. There's more wisdom, there's more insights. I'm sure that you guys are very active when it comes to the Facebook community, and you see that with more people, there's just so much more to share, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And obviously, Synduit as a company benefits the way that it should. So that's just a win for all of us. So please make sure you get involved with the SynFire Challenge. You can learn more about it at www.synpractic.com/SynFireChallenge. All right. Housekeeping. Make sure to choose your September campaigns by this Friday. Firm deadline. We want to make sure we can turn these things around really quickly to you guys, and we're excited to get them. These September campaigns are awesome. There's a ton of chiropractic-focused campaigns there in honor of chiropractic's birthday. So make sure that you choose 1, 2, or as a recommendation, the most 3, because after that it's going to be becoming a scenario where you're stretching yourself too thin. If this is your first month, we typically recommend doing 1 or 2 at most. Just allow yourself to get into the process of doing this. It's kind of like going to the gym after not working out for years and then deciding to do a crazy circuit. You'll be sore for days. Just ease your way into it. And we have clinics that have been with us for 3 years now that still only do one thing each month, and they just rock it. So figure out the right number for you. But if it is your first month, it is recommended to just do 1 or at most 2 the first month. We know everything is awesome, and we have an exciting next unveiling of the software, which at this point it's actually done. We are just going through testing and testing and testing some more. But that's going to actually give you access to the full library of content that we've created. So don't feel like if you don't select something that you're never going to be able to do it. You're going to gain access to all of that within the next month or so. So make sure you just choose what's best for you for the month of September. Dan, you want to do some last-minute tips for the June campaigns? We are in June, and this is just in spirit of communication.
So as most of you guys know, if not all, we're going to be talking about communication today. So what I wanted to introduce to you guys was the fact that most people have this incredible, burning desire to be led and to see what's out there and be told, this is what you should be doing by an expert. And you are that expert, and a lot of people kind of lose sight of what makes up an expert and how other people can see you as that authority. So there are 2 things that make up an expert, and these are the 2 things that I just wanted you guys to keep in mind as this last-minute tip. The first thing is certainty. If you're speaking to somebody with certainty, with confidence, then they're going to follow what you're saying. If you speak to them with ambiguity, or you don't have strength in your voice and you're shifting your weight and you have the wrong body language, you don't have that certainty, and they're going to question your authority. They're going to question whether or not you're an expert. So that's the first thing that makes up that expert in the person's mind. So keep that in mind when you're speaking with somebody. The second factor is empathy. And we're going to be talking a lot about this today with the empathy maps that are associated with the campaigns that we're going to be running for you guys. But empathy is the thing that allows you to connect to somebody. So if you can put yourself into somebody else's shoes and understand what their problems are, what their challenges are, what their questions are, then you're going to be able to connect with them on a much deeper level than you do now, or that they experience outside of your office with other businesses. So what you want to do is set yourself apart and empathize with their problems, goals, challenges, whatever that is, and answer their questions before they're even asked. That's how you can really connect with somebody. So if you have those two factors, which is the certainty and the empathy, then you're going to appear to them as somebody who truly understands them, but that also has this expertise and authority in an area of thought or science or whatever that they're not an authority in themselves. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind, and we're going to be extrapolating on that as we go through the empathy maps and everything with regards to communication for next month's campaigns.
Awesome, that's great, and we're going to really dive into this. So this was kind of an introduction, and since for those of you that are viewing or live that have been with us for a while, that you're in the middle of doing campaigns, this is just a reminder, because communication is what's going to make or break the success of the initiative. And when you come from that place, like what Dan said, of just certainty, you know your stuff, like you know that you can change people's lives, and then empathy, which is I understand. I can walk in your shoes. Like, I get you. Like, when you do that, that's when you move people to take action. So let's continue. So on the live version, we always ask for any successes or challenges. So I know that there's only a few people on the live that have been doing campaigns. So Mike V, do you have any successes or challenges that you want to share? I know that you're doing I had the pleasure of spending some time with you last week, and you're doing the referral campaign this month. So why don't you share a little bit about how that's working for you?
Well, we have success stories from our testimonial binder all over the office, so that's just a great way. Every time we see someone reading those, we just comment on, what their thoughts are, and people are seeing the diversity of the practice member success stories that we have, and it's just generating conversations about who do you know that might be in their shoes, and we just have tons of coupons printed, and we're having fun with the flow chart. That's one of the coolest tools I've seen in terms of it sheds light on how much of a no-brainer it is to get your spine checked. So we love playing with that, and yeah, we have a goal of 50 new patients this month, and we're at about a dozen so far, so we're moving along.
Cool. That's awesome, man. Good stuff. And yeah, the flow chart is really a great tool for those of you that are doing the June campaign. We always find ways of incorporating flow charts when they make sense, because it is something that people will spend time reviewing, and then they'll start answering the questions. And then when they're answering the questions, they're going through a process to get to the desired outcome, which is to become a practice member or to attend a workshop or whatever that looks like. So whenever we create a flow chart, there'll always be a poster associated with it, and that's one that you should just blow up and hang everywhere. Must mention that you're hanging even them around the community, right? Like, you're going out and your staff is hanging up posters around the community, right?
Yeah, they're all over town, and we haven't sent out mailers to any of the local businesses yet that we've networked with, but that's on our agenda too. So just getting them everywhere. And thank you for sharing at EPOC last week. That was an amazing program.
Awesome. Of course, man. Always my pleasure. So that's great. That's some good insight and some good success. Let's keep this rolling. Communication is always a packed session because we have so much we want to share within the 60 minutes. So if anybody else has any success stories or challenges, please feel free to send them our way through the Q&A section, and if we have time at the end, we'll revisit that once again. So let's just do a little recap from last week's call, just in case you haven't had a chance to watch the recording or you weren't here live. So last week we spoke about internal marketing for the August campaigns. And internal marketing is so critical. And at the foundation of the discussion is what we call pattern interrupts and anchors. And just to kind of give you a brief overview of what this is, and if you already heard this last week, it's a good refresher because you're in a month right now where this could be applicable, is people enter your clinic living out a rhythm called their everyday life. And their everyday life is consumed with stress and responsibility and picking up the kids and dropping off the kids. It's endless. It's just a ton of stuff that they are responsible for. And when they come in from that place, it's extremely difficult to communicate with them because there's all these barriers to understanding and absorbing. But if you can create an environment where you break that pattern, so you break the pattern, what you have just done is you've opened up a conduit for a conversation. So that's called a pattern interrupt. Well, then once the pattern is broken, you want to make sure that you anchor the experience so that even when they, let's just say they walk out of your office and you've told them something, there's an experience that has been anchored so that when they're not with you, they're thinking about you. So if you didn't watch the recording of last week, make sure you do, because we actually tell you for each of the 6 campaigns in August, here's a pattern interrupt and here's an anchor. So we give it to you, and then you can go and iterate off of that, use it as is, go down a totally different path. This is a very effective approach to breaking the pattern and then anchoring the experience. Dan, do you want to share some other ideas as well?
That covered basically the concept of it. I just want to add that you can do this in so many different ways, and a lot of people are waiting for our suggestions for the anchors and the pattern interrupts for each campaign. But you can do it in so many different ways that even if you gave somebody some little simple save the date card, for example, that would become an anchor for them. The important thing is to create an experience that is connected to that object, and this is specifically for that anchor. If it's a save the date card, if it's a candle, if it's a little army man, if it's whatever, those are the kinds of things that we suggested in the past. But those objects need to have a memory associated with them in order to become an anchor. That's why they're anchoring somebody to that memory. So think about kinds of objects that you can use, but also the experiences that you can create around those objects that are going to stand out in that person's mind, so that when they look at that save the date card or they look at that candle or whatever that object is, they remember that moment, like in a split second. They don't have to think about it. It's back in their mind, and if somebody even asks them about it, one of their friends sees the save the date card or sees the candle or whatever, they ask about it, and the person will immediately be able to reiterate what they learned in that experience surrounding that object. So that's a really important concept to keep in mind. And a lot of people think, oh, okay, it's an anchor, just create an object, just give it to them and that they'll be reminded. No, you have to actually create an experience around it. That's what creates an anchor. That's what basically segments a part of their memory for that day into that object. And so remember that when you start going through these exercises and figuring out with your staff what those anchors are going to be. And the pattern interrupt, Jared, you pretty much summed it up perfectly. You just want to break that pattern, and people are in their everyday lives, they're doing what they do, and if you are able to kind of just shake things up for a split second, then they're going to notice it.
That's awesome. And for Michelle, the only reason I didn't call on you because I didn't think you had a microphone as of last week, but I'll just read what Michelle wrote as a success story. So this is fantastic. And this is the epitome of taking a concept and then like blowing it up. So what they have done, and they're located in Nevada, Michelle's clinics, is we have sent out flyers to put bedwetting to bed to several daycares in our area, and as a result, we are now registered with our state to provide continuing education credits for daycares per their request. This has boosted the attendance of our class by 30%. We have 53 people signed up that we know of for putting bedwetting to bed. Huge success for our business this month. So kudos. I mean, Michelle is the epitome of always thinking outside the box.
Congrats, Michelle. It's awesome.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Like, that's what's possible. Like, and thank you for sharing it. I just didn't call on you because I know that sometimes you don't have the microphone. So thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. And that's the epitome of just taking an idea and saying, I'm going to take personal responsibility to take this to the next level, and then sharing it so everybody benefits. That's really fantastic. All right, let's keep going. So some reminders for the week. We have our J&G timeouts. That's going to be on Wednesday. That's July 16th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time. And the topic for your staff is managing stress within the office. This is a really fantastic program. I mean, they planned it. They actually shared this morning some of the concepts that they're going to introduce. Really fantastic program. I'm sure that you want your staff to be able to handle your successes, which could be considered stress. So this is a really good program for them to attend live or to download the recording after the fact. And then on the Business Pro side at 12 o'clock Eastern Time on the same day, Wednesday, July 16th, Thursday, Dan is going to share Get Facebook Up and Running Part 2. I know that Part 1, there was just rave reviews over that. That was really like getting it started, and now it's going to be taking it to the next level. As always, send all of your marketing and SynMind questions to marketing@synduit.com. Send website requests to pixelcorps@synduit.com. And please, as you have, use Facebook. It's an amazing, amazing community. Mike V initiated an incredible thread that many of you participated in, which was awesome. So thank you for that. All right, we are going to now begin to dive into the communication strategies. This is a packed session. We will be speaking quickly. We will be posting the recording after the fact and then sending it out on Thursday as well. But what we're going to do right now is we want to share universal communication strategies. So this would apply to every campaign. So instead of it saying it 6 times, we're going to say it from the start. And what we're going to share is something that we share every week. And you can't hear this enough. It's that important. And we're also going to share a special report in our Thursday email as well, which you probably have seen before, and it makes sense to review once again. But the key to your success with communication is to engage people on an emolectual level. That's both the emotion and the intellect. If you only engage on the emotional side, you better go home with them and sleep in their bed with them, because eventually the emotion will die. And if you only engage them on an intellectual side, I promise you that something will eventually stimulate them on Google that all of a sudden engages them intellectually and they forget what you said. The key is both. And there's 5 questions that you need to answer in order to make this your reality. I'm going to blow through this very quickly, but the special report will capture it. The first question, why is this even important in the first place? Why do you do what you do? That's the first question you want to answer. It's an emotional question. So if it's with regards to one of your campaigns, why is this topic even important? Like, why? This is a very emotional conversation, and if you have a personal story that you can attach to it, it makes it even more powerful. The next question, how do you deliver on the why? This is the details of whatever you're doing. This is an intellectual conversation. So this might be, we are hosting a luau at our office, and there's going to be food and music, and you can invite your guests. These are the details. This is an intellectual conversation. The goal is that somebody says to themselves, wow, that makes sense. The next question, the what. What are the benefits? What is this individual going to gain if they decide to engage? Well, this is another opportunity for you to share stories. So if you've done workshops before and people have come to the workshops, and because of something that they learned, their life changed, then share that story. This is an emotional conversation. The byproduct of the what is that somebody says, wow, this feels right. The fourth piece, very important when it comes to marketing, the who. Who is this campaign perfect for? So if you're doing more than one thing in 1 month, what you don't want to do is present 4 different opportunities to one person, because what they're going to do is choose not to choose. It's just too much to handle. So instead, figure out which one is best for them, and then tell them the people that will be attending this program are the following characteristics. Who is ideal for whatever you're offering? This is an intellectual conversation. And the final step is you need to close this loop. I need to end where you began, which is the why. But this time the why is a little bit different. The first why was your personal story. The second why is your vision of what's possible. So what becomes possible if your event is filled? What becomes possible when Mike V gets 50 new practice members this month? How does that change the community? This is the vision of possibility. This is an emotional conversation. So I know I went through that very quickly. You can read through the special report, which we will post, and it covers all of this. And I'm sure you guys have heard this before if we talk about it every week. But we're just doing this to re-anchor it so that you can then use it right now and then use it every month going forward. In addition, little communication techniques. Make sure that when you're speaking to people, look them deeply in the eyes. Deeply, like look into their soul. It will make you uncomfortable if you're not accustomed to doing this, but it's the most effective way to connect with people. Effective salespeople are always looking you in the eyes. It's absolutely critical. The next piece is be prepared to communicate at all times and in all environments. So within the confines of your clinic, I'm sure you're very comfortable communicating. But what happens when you're in line at the supermarket? Be just as comfortable there. Be prepared at all times to have this type of dialogue with people. You want to make sure that you're pitching your campaigns everywhere. So at your current events, pitch your campaigns. At your community events, pitch your campaigns. If you're speaking at a corporation, pitch your campaigns. Let them know that you create this social experience where like-minded people come together. And always, and this is what we're going to dive into now, enter the conversation your patients are having. This is called empathy. The byproduct of empathy is that your practice member says, wow, Dr. Tompkins, he gets me. And that's why he or she wants to do business with you. That's the goal, is that you allow the individual to recognize that you can walk in their shoes. So what we're going to show you now is a mind map. We do this every third week where we go through all 6 campaigns and we create this map of specific questions. And these are the questions that you want to answer when it comes to each of the marketing campaigns. We've done it for you, but one of them is what do they think and feel? The next is what do they see? What do they hear? What do they say and do? What are their pains? And what do they gain from what you are offering? Understand, this is what Nike does before doing a Super Bowl commercial. So when they're investing $2.5 million for a 30-second clip, they're creating an empathy map of their avatar. So that's what we're doing here for each of the campaigns. And I'm sure at this point you guys have seen this, but we actually did a webinar for the entire profession on 4 different avatars for chiropractors. So we've posted this plenty of times. If you don't have access to it and you want it, just email marketing@synduit.com and we will send you the recording. But now we're going to run through these. So Dan, why don't you start with the first campaign? Oh, by the way, everybody, click on Synduit. Click on the Synduit image so that this doesn't bounce around so you can see this the entire time.
Yeah, so in order to like make sure that you guys still see this presentation even as Jared talks, click on my tile at the bottom of the screen. So it's it's highlighted. There would be like a border around it. That'll mean that even as other people talk, you still see this in the main area. So what we're going to do is basically dive into these different campaigns. The first one that we're going to be doing is delivered. And like Jared just mentioned, we'll be answering each of those questions from your practice members' point of views. So the first one for delivered, what do your practice members think and feel as it relates to this type of campaign and to home birth? They think that they're unable to have alone or intimate time with their loved one because their child might wet the bed and wake up. They feel embarrassment for their child. They feel frustrated that this keeps on happening. So if they're having these experiences, if they're thinking and feeling these kinds of things, how can you meet them, in that conversation and enter that conversation that's already going on in their head, but maybe they haven't voiced it yet? This is something that's incredibly powerful, and I'm sure that some of you have experienced it when somebody says something that makes you feel like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how I feel. Or, oh my gosh, this answers a question that's been burning, but I haven't really voiced it because maybe I'm the only one experiencing that problem. That's what these people are going through. And if you are able to hone in on that and mention this kind of these feelings and emotions, then they're going to feel not only relieved that they're not the only people experiencing it, but they're going to feel encouraged that you're going to be offering something that's going to fix that and that's going to address this problem. The next one, what do they see? They see other families giving birth in a hospital. They see stories on the news about mishaps at the hospital. They see thousands of books on the subject. So if they're seeing all these things out there, maybe they have engaged with it, maybe they haven't engaged with it. If they're seeing this, then use that visual cue and remind them and trigger that memory in their mind of seeing those thousands of books and other people giving birth at the hospital, and ask them if they really feel right about what they're planning on doing, if it's either a home birth or if it's having birth in a hospital. See where their head is at, and if you're able to activate and gain access to these memories that they have in their own mind by way of the communication that you're taking, you're having with them, the conversations that you two are engaging with, then they're going to trust you. They're going to understand that you know that this is what they see on a daily basis. And if you're able to do that, then you're going to create a really strong connection. Okay, next one. What do they hear? They hear that all natural birth is dangerous. They hear that pregnancy is painful and requires drugs. And they hear that they need a medical doctor to help. Now, these are all things that have been basically growing in the back of their mind in terms of preconceived notions and even just myths in some cases. So you want to address them. You want to understand what they hear, number one, what they hear on a regular basis, so that you have an understanding of those preconceived notions that they have, and then you want to address them. Whether they're true or false, you want to make sure that they see you as somebody who can answer those questions that they have, that maybe they haven't voiced yet. So you want to bring this up in the conversation. You don't want to wait until they bring it up. Next one, what do they say and do? Now notice that we're getting very specific. These are very tangible examples, and that's on purpose, so you guys have a really solid understanding of how you can bring this into a conversation, what that discussion looks like. They say, what do they say and do on a daily basis? They purchase tons of books to learn. They go to a Lamaze class, and they say, I am afraid to give birth. They have a fear. They have a real tangible pain, and we'll get into that in a second, about this upcoming event. If it's a woman, then they're afraid. They feel that fear of giving birth. So you want to address this. And one thing I'd like to highlight here, the first point here, they purchase tons of books to learn. One other very tangible feeling that you could address is whether or not they just collect these books out of this superficial desire to learn more and more, but do they actually read them? So you could include that in a conversation, saying maybe John, or Jane, maybe you've bought all of these books on natural home birth and pregnancy and what to do. Maybe you've even gone to some classes, but have you really internalized what you've learned? Have you read all those books, or have you just done that out of this very, very reactive nature of fear? So you want to address that. You want to bring that into the conversation, because when you do, then that's a springboard for a deeper conversation. Then the next one, the pains that they're experiencing. This can be actual physical pain or mental pain and stress. First one's nausea. The second one's ignorance. The third one's fear. So what you want to do is address these, and not only the physical ones, because those are some of the more obvious ones. They know that they're going to be nauseous. They know it's going to be a long-term commitment process, and they're going to have mood swings and all that kind of stuff. But maybe you haven't addressed the ignorance. Maybe you haven't addressed the fear. And if you're able to address that, then you're going to be penetrating that shell that they've created of, nobody asked these questions, other people are more experienced than me. Those kinds of feelings are there, and they're acting as a bit of a shell that you need to penetrate in order to really gain access to that deeper conversation. Now, finally, what do they gain from what you're offering? Well, first, they're going to learn another strategy. They're going to learn how to, what is behind this home birth concept and what's required of them. They're going to meet other expectant families. They're going to see other people who are going through the same experiences that they're going through. And they're going to be amongst people who are going to be able to support them. The next one is bring a child into the world in an all-natural way. That's the biggest one. That's what they gain from this. That's the ultimate goal. If they want to bring their child into this world in the most healthful way possible, and you're going to teach them how to do that, you have suddenly become an incredible authority and expert in an area that they have incredible pains and needs and questions. You need to get them to that side and into that understanding that you will provide that gain if they will, open up and learn about this topic. So those are the questions for the empathy map for delivered. And we're going to move on to the next one. Jared, you want to get it together?
Yeah, let's do Get It Together. So Get It Together is an awesome teleseminar that I'm pumped about. So let's do it. So the first question that you're going to want to answer is, what are your people thinking and feeling? So what they might be thinking and feeling is that they're a victim to their circumstances. They feel unhealthy and maybe even ugly, and they feel like they have no energy. This is possibly where they are when it comes to their life. They are thinking that they haven't accomplished their goals. They're feeling inadequate. They're feeling like their story, whatever that story is ruling their life. Let's keep going, Dan. All right, what are they hearing? They hear their inner voice telling them that they can't accomplish their goals. Who would ever want that? And I'm sure there have been points in your career, think about it, where you had this big vision for what you were going to want to accomplish, and this inner voice said, no, it's just not possible. They hear about people making more money, losing weight, and they have done nothing. They hear about others achieving success, but they just can't figure it out. And they also hear that their spouse or their significant other is disappointed with them. And there's nothing worse than that. They don't want to feel that their lover is just not happy with who they are and what they've accomplished. So let's keep on going now. So now what do they say and do? They say that they don't know how to follow through. And our words are so powerful, right? If we say to ourselves, we don't know how to follow through, or we say I'm fat, then what happens is we believe it. And then that story becomes the reality. Maybe they hit the snooze button. That's something that they do. So that's holding them back from starting their day early and getting to the gym and doing meditation, whatever else they were going to do in the morning. And they're saying that they don't know where to begin. And if somebody says, I don't know where to begin, then guess what? They're going to believe that they don't know where to begin, and they're not going to begin. Remember, the goal of this is to recognize where your people are so that you can connect, you can empathize, so that somebody says, wow, oh my gosh, Dr. Nate, he gets me. All right, let's keep going. The next one is, what do they see? Well, they see a charge on their credit card for a gym for the past 6 months. And guess what? They haven't gone. They see that their weight has increased. And they see a list of goals that they may have set in January or February or March that hasn't even been touched yet. And what do they need to do? They need to get it together. They need to. Their life is so critical. We watched a video this morning, which we'll post at some point this week, a really inspiring video about entrepreneurship. And it said that if you're 30 years old, you have another 21,000 days that you're going to live. And that every one of those days that you don't live to its full potential is a wasted day. Well, think about this from the perspective of a practice member who needs to get it together. What they see is a list of things that they haven't accomplished. All right, let's keep going. What are their pains? So now, somebody who needs to get it together, what do they live on a daily basis? Well, their pain is they feel depressed because they failed again. Their pain is they're overweight. They look on the scale and they're like, oh my gosh, how is it possible that I'm still overweight? Their pain is being unaccomplished. Nobody wants to feel like they're not making progress in their life. And their pain is that they're just lazy sometimes. And it's not literal laziness, it's fear. It's the fact that their story is what's echoing in their mind, and they're so afraid that what it looks like to the world is that they're lazy. That's a pain. All right, let's keep going. So now that we know their pain, what can they gain as a result of participating in this teleseminar? They're going to gain inspiration. They're going to get a kick in the butt, and they're going to get a proven strategy to follow. This is critical. I'm going to say them again. They're going to gain inspiration. So what does that mean? They're going to be fired up, but they're also going to get a kick in the butt. You're going to hold them accountable to doing something with the proven strategy. This is what someone will gain as a result of participating in this teleseminar. Remember, the goal of what we're looking to do here is that you begin to walk the shoes of your practice member. Because maybe right now, your life is perfect. And then it's hard to relate to somebody whose life isn't perfect. So what we want you to do is really see the world through their perspective. All right, Dan, run with Family Field Day. That's a fun one.
All right, Family Field Day. So the first question, you guys are probably going to get into the rhythm of it now. So what do they think and feel? So they think about doing a fun physical activity with the family. This is something that they think about regularly. They want to do it. It's maybe like a weekend goal that every weekend they go to the park or they go out and do a fun family activity. That's something that's on their mind. They think about connecting with like-minded community members. A lot of people in your practice are on this health and wellness journey, and it's not a huge community in the area. If not, now, then it hopefully will be down the road. But if they don't have that community, then you need to create that. So that's something that's on their mind as well. They feel the need to compete. So if they feel that the family down the road is doing more fun things with their kids, or they've got more free time, or the dad is making more money, or the mom's making more money, they've got more resources, whatever, they're coming to grips with that. They're creating excuses, and that's not a healthy mindset to be in. So you want to address that. Second one, what do they see? They see other families playing outside. They see their old trophies from high school, and they see their children sitting around like slugs, playing video games, doing nothing, just wasting their time. And they want to change that. but they don't know what to do. If you're able to incorporate this into this pattern of empathy that you want to create around your practice members, then use these examples as a way to create a visual in their own mind and remind them that yes, while they're in this place and they want to see their family playing outside just as much as the other families, and they want to be proud of their old trophies from high school and show their kids and inspire their kids. Those are the kinds of things that you want to bring up. Next one. What do they hear? They hear about the importance of exercise for the entire family. People are talking about this more and more, so you want to be able to provide resources and strategies that their kids will be into, then that they'll be into as well. They hear their children and spouse not wanting to move. There's a sedentary lifestyle that has been implemented into their family's life that they want to break. And by coming to this event and by listening to you and getting these strategies and these fun activities and bringing their family to this amazing event, they will break that pattern of sedentary lifestyle. They hear about sickness that could have been prevented with movement and good lifestyle choices. This is something that is more sensationalist. It's always on the news. There's always a new disease or whatever that's been promoted. And you want to break that pattern of negative thinking. You want to bring them into that new mindset and share that with their family. Next up, what do they say and do? I want to get my kids outside. I sign my kids up for camp so they can meet other kids. I want to meet other community members. So this is all about action. They want to do stuff. They want to get their kids outside, send them to camp, and get their kids, into other environments so that they can see what's out there, have fun. They're not just sitting in front of a television playing video games all day. They're really learning and running around and having fun and scraping their knees and all that kind of fun stuff. So they want to put their kids into a new environment, but it's at the same time they want to put themselves into a new environment. A lot of parents networking and meeting of friends is through their kids and bringing their kids to karate class or bringing their kids to a birthday party and meeting the other parents there. So that's another way to meet and new friends and other like-minded people. This event is exactly what will provide that. Next up, what are their pains? They've got lazy kids, they've got nothing fun to do, and they've got a desire to compete. Now this reflects a lot of what we were just talking about, but let's just kind of dive into this for 1 second. Lazy kids, how painful would that be to, as a parent, see your kids just wasting away, their brains melting in front of the TV, just watching shows and movies and not really developing as real healthy kids should be developing. That's a pain for parents. Nothing fun to do, both for their kids and for themselves. If you're not having fun, then that something's got to change. And when people realize, when people are subjected to a new environment and they see how they can have fun in that environment, then the one that they were in before, namely sitting in front of a TV and being a couch potato, doesn't really seem as engaging because they've seen what else is out there. That's what this kind of event would do. Desire to compete. Now, if they have that desire to compete, that can be healthy or destructive. If it's healthy, then they're with other families and they're racing or doing fun activities, and that's something that you can really encourage at the family field day. But if there's a desire to compete with other families just so you can say that you've gone to more weekend retreats or you've done this and that with your kids and all along, you're not really taking into consideration what your kids really enjoy, and your kids are just following along because this is what mom or dad wants to do. That's not healthy. So you want to address that and create an environment where everybody's having fun and everybody really wants to be there. Gains. What do they gain from this? Well, number one, they have fun as a family. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, so that you guys understand where I'm coming from with that. They can get outside and they can get out into that other environment that in some cases their kids just haven't spent a lot of time in. If they're running through a field or they're taking a hike through the woods, whatever that is for your particular event, that's a new environment for a lot of people, and that's important. meet other families in the community. Now this hits on both the parents' need to network and the desire to compete. So if you are addressing all of these issues at once and creating an environment that's inviting, that has a healthy dose of competition and fun and engagement, and that allows people to connect and meet other like-minded individuals and form new relationships, that's going to be really healthy. It's going to be something that people want to get involved with. So those are the empathy map questions for the Family Field Day. And next up, we've got the Just Like Family campaign. So Jared, you want to take this?
Yeah, let's do it. So Just Like Family is an amazing referral program. So let's dive into this one. And this is an important one because sometimes chiropractors are a little bit uncomfortable asking for referrals, but you shouldn't be as long as you can walk in the shoes of the people that you're asking. So what are they thinking and feeling? Well, part of what I'm going to talk about here is not necessarily what the person that you're speaking with is thinking and feeling, but what somebody they might speak with is thinking and feeling. So it's important to see all sides of this. So they might be thinking and feeling that chiropractic is just not for me. Maybe they think of dozens of people who they would love to invite to your office, and they just never had a conduit to make this a reality. They're feeling pain because many people in their life are suffering the same way they did prior to coming to your office. That's a major motivation. People are motivated by avoiding pain. And if their pain is, oh my gosh, I'm living with vitality, but my spouse and their parents and there's other people and friends that aren't, that's a feeling that you want to make sure that you recognize. All right, let's keep going. So now what do they see? Well, they see people in their life who are suffering. They see people that are taking a ton of pharmaceutical drugs. And they see people who go to a chiropractor and are enjoying life. Now, this is crazy, right? Wait, part of what they're seeing are people on drugs, and another part of it is they're seeing people in your office who are thriving. Yes, they are. They're seeing this extreme. And this is one of the challenges that lay people experience, is that when they make this metamorphosis, they're the odd one out. Because now they're juicing and they're cleansing and they're going under chiropractic care and they're eating paleo and they're waking up early to exercise and they're meditating. I'm sure that what I'm saying is an ideal practice member for you. It's somebody that you met who at one point was living as a shell of who they are, and now they've transformed. But now they're the odd one out. And there's nothing better than the people that they see if they can get them into your clinic. So what they're seeing is an extreme. People that are suffering, and then also people that are enjoying life because of chiropractic. All right, let's keep going. What do they hear? Well, they hear that chiropractic doesn't work. Well, that might not be what they hear, but it might be. They might be speaking to people in their life who they want to bring to your clinic, and the response is chiropractic doesn't work. They hear that it might take a long time to get healthy. Well, the practice member might already know that. Like, they put in all these years of doing the wrong thing. It's not going to just be something that's fixed overnight. But when they're talking with others and saying, come into the clinic to meet Dr. Mike V, they might hear, well, it takes a long time to get healthy. They might hear that there's a pill that will make them get better faster. They might hear that they are having someone in their life that's going to go get a flu shot, or maybe even they're going to get a flu shot. They hear that you only need a chiropractor if you're in pain. They hear about the health insurance crisis. They hear that chiropractic is not right for children because it could be dangerous. Think about this. The people that you're asking to bring others into your clinic have objections that they have to deal with. If you can walk in their shoes, you'll know this in advance. You'll be able to connect with them because you get them, and then you can help send them on their way. All right, let's keep going. The next one is, what do they say and do? So remember, this is not necessarily your practice member saying this. This is the person that they're going to speak with, is that they're saying, I will live with my chronic pain. Why should they compromise their life? They're saying chiropractic doesn't work. They're saying once you start going to a chiropractor, you'll go forever. They're saying that I wish that my husband or wife or significant other would take better care of themselves. That's a major pain point. Think about right now in your clinic, how many people are you seeing, but you're not seeing their significant other? That could lead to 50% growth possibly. And they're one step away from joining. That's a pain point for the person who's coming. They're saying they can't afford a year of year of care. There's a financial barrier. And they're saying that their doctor, their medical doctor, is telling them not to see a chiropractor. Maybe Jane is your practice member, and Jane is an evangelist of your cause. And you're like, Jane, who do you know that we can support? I'm sure there are people that it's irking you just knowing that they're in pain and you're thriving. And they say, well, my cousin, but her doctor keeps on saying that she shouldn't come see a chiropractor. This is the point of empathy, is that you know in advance that this is where people are. All right, let's keep going. All right, what are their pains? They are in pain because they are a victim to their health condition. And this wouldn't be your practice member, but it's the person your practice member is speaking with. They worry about the health of their children and their entire family. They worry about their finances, that their job creates enormous pains. They hate what they're doing. They have no time for the things that they enjoy. And they are not accepted because they chose the wellness lifestyle and did not vaccinate their children. Notice we're going in all different directions here, but this is what your people are experiencing. They're being pulled into the direction of medicine or pulled into the direction of wellness, and the people in their life aren't supporting it. This is what's going on in their mind, and what happens is they do nothing. Whereas if you can confront it because you know where they are and then help guide them, they will guide others into your clinic. All right, now let's talk about what are they going to gain? What will somebody gain when they participate in this campaign? The person that enters into your clinic because they are referred, they get out of pain. Their children will grow up without the typical medical journey that most parents experience. They will have more energy and a clear frame of mind. They will experience more out of life. Their self-esteem will improve. They will avoid lifestyle diseases. And guess what? The person that does the referring is going to feel like a hero. Think about that. The person who refers someone into your clinic will be perceived as a hero, the ultimate gain. All right, Dan, take it away.
One thing I actually wanted to highlight here, back when we talked about, I believe it was what do they see? You touched on it, which is there are two very, very different statements here. They see people taking drugs, and they see people who go to a chiropractor and enjoying life. And this hits on a really important concept of juxtaposition and putting things next to each other and being able to see the differences between them. And this is something that you guys can actually use if you're holding a workshop or something, is if you took like a survey of everybody in the audience and basically separated people in the practice and people who are not with the practice and asked them about what their daily lifestyles are like, the people in your practice are naturally going to have a healthier lifestyle. They're going to be able to explain, how they feel and why they feel that way in a really positive way. The people who aren't at your practice are going to probably have more negative, skewed statements. And if you're able to show people, everybody in this room who is on that positive side of the spectrum has one thing in common. They see a chiropractor. Everybody on the negative side of the spectrum does not. And if you're able to show them that juxtaposition, and I'm just going to fly through here, if you're able to show them that juxtaposition and put those two groups of people next to each other and say, this is the only thing that is different between these groups of people, they're going to see a chiropractor, it really boils all of those messages that you're trying to communicate down to one simple point. So that's one important thing I wanted to highlight there. So next campaign's up is Pack to School. So for those of you who are running this campaign, these are really important questions, obviously, to answer. So what do these people think and feel? They feel that they want to help others who are less fortunate. They are thinking about school supplies for their child, and they feel the desire to give back to the community. Now, for those of you who don't know, Pack to School is you're going to be filling up backpacks with school supplies to donate. So these are the things that are on these people's minds. They feel like they want to help others who are less fortunate. That's a very humanistic characteristic of people, and you want to tap into that, and you want to give them the ability to fulfill that need and to fulfill that desire. So next one, they see an itinerary of school supplies. They see families in the community stressed about finances. They see their children excited to have this school supply purchasing experience. For a lot of kids, that's a really exciting experience. I loved, getting my new backpack and notebooks and my calculator. That was like the biggest thing when I got that, because it was a super complicated one and I didn't know how to use it and I was excited. Whatever. You have to understand that these kids are experiencing this too. But make sure that you are able to draw connections between these as well. So they see an itinerary of school supplies, and they also see families in the community stressed about finances. So if those families are stressed financially, maybe they're not going to be able to make, to fill up all those school supplies into their kids' backpacks. And then you can bring into individuals as well. But the idea is that you can make the connections between things that they're seeing and thinking and feeling and hearing and saying and doing, so that you can really show them connections that they may not see themselves. Next one up, hear. They hear about the amount of money it costs to prepare for school. They hear the other families who are struggling very much in the same way that they see those people in their day-to-day lives. And they hear other parents talking about going school supply shopping. So if you're able to tap into this and mention the fact that, oh, Jane, I'm sure that you've heard about the rising cost of school supplies, this year, and I'm sure that you've seen the list of school supplies that your son or daughter's school has sent. A lot of families in the community can't afford that, and I'm sure that you have this desire to help those people and to support our community in any way that we can. This is what we're doing with the Pack for Your Back campaign over the next month or so. Those are the ways that you can incorporate these images and auditory signals and all that kind of stuff into a statement. Notice that I said I'm sure you've heard about the rising costs. I'm sure you've seen the list of school supplies. And I'm sure you've you've felt the need to contribute to the community. Those are the words and language that you should be adopting. Next up, what do they say and do? They say, I want to help the less fortunate. School supply shopping is a drag. School supply shopping is a ton of money, and I don't know how some families afford this. Once again, this reflects those kinds of feelings that they're having in a very tangible and clear way. Next up, what are their pains? They have a desire to help. They have financial pains in some cases and the stress that this causes. They have children who are whining about a particular supply. So these are the kinds of experiences and feelings that they're going through on a daily basis, and that's what you really want to address. Next up, what do they gain from this campaign? Well, number one, they help the less fortunate. That's a huge humanistic characteristic, once again, that they have just at their core, because they're generous and they want to give back. They will help other people begin the chiropractic lifestyle. This is a great way to introduce that into other people's lives, and it's an amazing way to give back to the community on another level. And complete fulfillment. If they're able to do this and they're able to satisfy that contribution and contribution-based need in their own life and in their family's life, then they're going to feel more fulfilled. That's what you want them to really feel at the end of the day. So those are the questions for Pack for Your Back. Next up is Pack to School. This one's Pack for Your Back. Jared,
Yes.
You want to take this one?
Yes, sure. Let's do it. So we might run a few minutes over, so if anybody's to leave, please feel free. But we don't want to cut it short just to stay on time. So we're going to keep on going. So we're doing Pack for Your Back, and this is a awesome educational experience, interactive workshop for parents, and this is definitely on their mind. Remember, we're walking in their shoes. So what are they thinking and feeling? They are thinking about the damage of a healthy backpack. They feel stressed with their kids going back to school. They think about ways to help their child excel in school. And what it comes down to is that if their child has any pain or discomfort or the negative side effects associated with a backpack that's too heavy or they're just not wearing it appropriately, it's going to prevent their child from excelling. This is what the parent who you're targeting with this environment of empathy is thinking about. All right, what do they see? So what do these parents see? Well, they see a heavy backpack. Think about it. They see that their child's getting ready for school and there's a super heavy backpack on the floor by the door. And it makes them uncomfortable. How could that be good for little Johnny when he's 30 pounds and the backpack's 42 pounds? Like, how is that okay? They see a child complaining of pain. Maybe their child's coming home and they're complaining of their neck or their headaches, and it's all because they're subluxated. They see other children who are carrying their books in different positions. And because they see this, it now gets them thinking, like, maybe there's a better way. All right, what do they hear? Now that we've gone through what they see, what do they hear? They hear about the right and wrong way for their child to carry a backpack. Maybe there's a news session on it. Maybe there's an article in the newspaper. They hear about the increase in back problems for children. And they hear about other health conditions that are plaguing their children, which could be from wearing a backpack incorrectly. Parents are hearing this. Think about it from your perspective. You are experts on this. But if you were to hear these types of things, it would create a sense of unease. And if you know that you have someone who's a parent who has a child that's in elementary school, it's a conversation that you need to have. It's your responsibility to empathize and to get them to show up so that you can then do an assessment of their backpack and educate them on what this should look like. All right, what are they saying and doing? Well, what they're saying is that they want to help their child thrive. We talked about that in the beginning. They're also saying, I don't want my child in pain. Who would ever want their child in pain? And what they're also saying is that they will do anything, whatever is necessary to make their child happy. They're willing to do that. People are willing to put their child ahead of themselves, but it requires your ability to empathize with them so they even know that this is possible. All right, what are their pains? Their pain is that their child is complaining of pain. That's a pain for the parent, pain for the child. No one wins. Their pain is ignorance and being unaware of where to go. Ignorance is not bliss when it comes to their health. And there's a pain of information overload when it comes to helping their child become healthy. They might go onto Google and start typing in how heavy should a backpack be, how should one wear it, but there's nothing better than having a child come into your clinic so that you can do an assessment. This is the pain that the parent is experiencing. All right, what do they gain as a result of coming? They gain a peace of mind. Remember, you're doing a backpack check, so you're giving them a certificate afterwards saying this backpack is approved by XYZ Chiropractic Clinic. That's a big deal. They gain the ability to connect with other families. Remember, this is a social experience. It's an interactive workshop. Anyone who's coming probably has children within the same age range. So as a result, they can connect with one another, and ultimately, it's going to be fun. And we're going to talk next week about the little things that make a world of difference, and you might want to consider bringing in food and having different fun activities at this event. So this is the empathy map for the August campaigns. I said to you there's a chance that we're going to speak a lot, and that happens during this week because we really want to make sure that you see everything that we've gone through with the creation of this, because it's really that important. So now we want to open up questions. I know there was a few questions that were submitted, but we always take the live questions first. So we'll go around. Dr. Tompkins, do you have any questions? I know you're getting started, so do you have any questions for us or for anybody else in the tribe? And you're on mute right now if you're trying to talk. And we'll keep going just in case you might not have the microphone set up. Anybody at Acadia Wellness, do you guys have any questions? Or Michelle, I don't know if you have a microphone, so if you have questions, or Mike V, if you have questions, you can take yourself off mute. I will read the questions that have been submitted. Go for it. Mike, you have questions?
Just wanted to show off our official
there you go.
Oh, nice.
We weren't doing the referral campaign this month, but took a ton of notes on that empathy map because it's universal to any referral campaign, so that was really good.
Yeah. That's great. Good stuff, man. Awesome. The other questions that have been submitted, these are great questions. One of them is how do we recommend that they plan? How do we recommend planning marketing initiatives with the team? So the recommendation is this: during the first week of every month, you should have an hour meeting with your team to select your campaigns. This should not be something that the doctor does by themselves. This should be a team meeting. Everyone who is involved in the clinic that would have any connection with a practice member should be involved in this hour session, and then you should go through all of the campaigns and then vote on whichever you think are best. So that's how you can get the team involved with planning your marketing. It's so critical to get buy-in from everyone. Someone says here, that's a great question, what if you're talking with somebody and they say that they're just too busy for the workshop or for the experience or for the event? So there's a sales technique that I would encourage that you use, and it's called Feel, Felt, Found. So let's say that Dan, we invited Dan to come to the Pack Your Back workshop, Pack for Your Back, and he's like, I'm just too busy, I can't take little Johnny. So what I would respond with is, Dan, I know exactly how you feel. We have had I mean, countless practice members that have felt the exact same way as you. They're so busy, they're being pulled in so many different directions. They have their kids' sporting events, they have their own career. Totally, I know exactly how you feel, and others have felt the same way. But what we have found is that when those people made the commitment to come to one of our workshops, their life changed because we exposed them to an entirely new way of thinking. And because of what they gained at the event, everything about their life transformed. They had more time, they had more vitality, they had more energy, which is why I encourage you to create the space so that you can participate in this as well. And then just be silent and then let them respond. Just be silent. Silence is golden at that point. But it's feel, felt, found. You want to do it in that order. You want to let them know, you empathize. I know how you feel. Others have felt the same way, so they're not crazy for feeling this way. But this is what you found from your experience. Feel, felt, found. And then the final question is, how do I get people excited about multiple campaigns? Dan always talks great about this. We'll just kind of fly through this as we're over. You want to target, right, Dan? Like you want to really think about who is the campaign perfect for. So you want to share a little bit on that?
So especially if you're running multiple campaigns, you want to find the person who's perfect for that particular campaign. You know what their challenges are. You've probably known them for months, if not years, and they've been coming on for a long time. So you are able to have a complete understanding about both sides of the situation. One side is them and what they've experienced, what they want to experience in their life, and the other side is the campaign and what it offers. So if you're running multiple, then you know what each campaign offers, and you know the strengths and weaknesses of those connections that the person can make with each of those campaigns. You choose that strongest one. You choose the one that would add the most to their life, and that's the one that you recommend for them. So as soon as somebody walks into the office, you figure out what is that campaign that we want to recommend for them, and then you go for it. You don't say, we're doing X, Y, and Z, and A, B, and C this month. You should come to all of them. Nobody's going to do that. They're going to choose not to choose. They're going to walk away and not do anything. But if you give them a really curated choice and you say, I know that you've been going through a weight loss journey over the past 6 months. We're having a weight loss workshop that's going to have some amazing products. We're bringing in an external speaker that's going to share some really amazing secrets that they've found and that they share with their own clients. So I encourage you to show up. It's really going to add a lot to your life. That's a curated recommendation. If you heard that and you've been trying to lose weight for the last 6 months, you're going to go to that workshop just based on that recommendation because somebody took the time, in this case it's you, to figure out what is best for you and what would benefit you the most in the long run. So that's the idea behind targeting each individual person and figuring out what campaign that you're running would benefit them the most.
That's awesome. Yeah, really fantastic. So those were the questions that were submitted. If you have other questions, please email marketing@synduit.com and we'll happily respond to you. Next week, we are focusing on the little things that make a world of difference. So what does that mean? One of the things that we're going to focus on is how to close, how to convert, how to get somebody to attend an interactive experience or participate in a referral program or a teleseminar, and then get them to spend money with you. It's a sales training. And I'm saying things that make chiropractors a little bit squeamish, like money, sales, like it's what you need. You're selling people life. So we're going to go through that next week. I want to shout out really to the entire tribe for Facebook. Look, Mike V, thank you for starting that amazing thread. Lyle Kocha, Amias Kabir, Brian McCarley, Emil Tompkins, Jeremy Faug, Dr. Jaffe, James Bloom. I mean, I can go on and on. Everybody's contributing immensely. Michelle Anderson, I did call you out. People want to know how you achieved this success, so if you can post. I know many people would benefit from that. The power is in the pack. As always, send questions to marketing@synduit.com if it's marketing or SynMind related, to pixelcorps@synduit.com if it's website related. Make sure that you choose your September campaigns by this Friday, July 18th. Please work with us so that we can deliver everything on time. Remember the SynFire Challenge. This is going to be a fun experience where you have the possibility of winning a camera and also making some money and helping grow the tribe, which is a win for all of us. And I sent out an email the other day. I felt like a doofus, but I never thought of this until recently. We need to get your staff on the distribution list, so that they're getting all of the emails, they're involved with the Facebook community. So visit sympapractic.com/staff, S-T-A-F-F, and just fill out the form on behalf of your staff. This will get them on the distribution list, and then they'll get an email inviting them to join the Facebook group as well so that they can begin to benefit. So in closing, I'm going to share our quote of the week. All right. This is from my man, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can click on my little tile. And the quote is this: "The worst thing that I could be is the same as everybody else. I'd hate that." And it's so simple, but it's so true for chiropractors in particular. Go out there and express your identity, whatever that is for you. Be proud of the fact that you're a chiropractor. Be proud of the fact that you're so different, because people want different. People don't want the same old that got them into the problem called their everyday life. They don't want that. The worst thing that you could be is the same as everyone else, and I know that you'd hate that. So go out there, be yourself, be a rock star, transform your community, and as we always say, together we achieve more. We'll speak with everybody next week. If you need anything at all, please feel free to reach out. Thanks, everyone.
See you, everyone.